Hello everybody, Seraphin here. Welcome back for the epilogue of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. When we last left you guys, we finished up the game proper, and now we go into just the ending of the game, as it were. And we get to see the final bits. This part's actually kind of cool. I don't mind epilogue bits. It is weird to me that they do them separate as like a chapter almost, that you can go back and rewatch. Part of me appreciates that, and part of me thinks it's kind of strange. Here we have Ike return to his pre-promoted attire, although he maintains the same posture he has upon promotion. You'll notice he's not using his father's pauldron anymore. Here is Ike speaking to his mercenary compatriots. Only Commander Grail and Elena could see you now. I'm sure Mom and Dad would be proud of us. Yeah, I hope so. Victory might have slipped away without Boyd. Well, let's be honest, Boyd was definitely a major contributor to this playthrough. I'm a great soldier and all, but I'd rather be a mercenary. Let's find some good-looking lasses. Shinon is very full of himself. So Mia basically joins the mercenaries full-time after this. And Volk's like, peace out, I'm done here. And here we have the Crimean soldiers. / citizens in the case of Brahm and Nephany. And the princess looks ever so happy. It makes me antsy and itchy. I love how Bastion talks. Fun fact, Joffrey has a completely different armor set than in Radiant Dawn. I don't know why he felt the need to change, but... Nay, 1,000 huzzahs! Bye, Nephany. So, fun fact, I don't know if I mentioned this when we got him, Largo is the only character that you don't get in Radiant Dawn from this game. The only one that does not come back. Why? I don't know. He is also the only Berserker that is available in the entire game here, but for some reason he's in Radiant Dawn, he's just not playable. Like, he shows up. Again, couldn't tell you why. General Zelgius, yeah, he's super cool. It's a shame we didn't get to see more of him. He actually plays a pretty pivotal role in Radiant Dawn, actually. Apostle and Sephirin. So this one doesn't make any sense. Marcia says she's going to rejoin the Pegasus Knights in Begnion, but when you get her back in Radiant Dawn, she's working for Queen Elincia. So I'm like, did that just not pan out? Like, did you change your mind? Like, what's the deal? Tired of people threatening to break my knees. Maybe you shouldn't be such a scumbag. Yeah, and then Astrid says she's going to join the Begnion Knights too, but she also works for Queen Elincia in the sequel, so her and Marcia just talk and be like, you know what? Never mind, screw them guys. Also, Devdin is in Radiant Dawn, but his name is different, and I don't know why. We'll talk about that when we get there. Assuming we get to that point. Morim, the race car. Stefan, the guy that I still do not fully understand and probably never will because we're not meant to. We do know that he's branded, but it's heavily implied that he is, like, lion-blooded. I think his ending in Radiant Dawn even calls him lion-blooded. Pretty sure it does. Oh yeah, Rayson and Leanne are gonna go visit Gallia for a while. With their father. We Herons should live near a forest, after all. Yeah, I guess that's fair. We should be leaving soon. That's so cool. Like, hey, we'll help you rebuild, because we're nice people. This game really has a lot to say on the subject of, like, racial discrimination and prejudice and all that other kind of jazz. And I understand that that's a very pointed topic in this country right now. Not to I mean, for different reasons, I suspect, but the fact that this game had the brought it up, rather, or brought it into the forefront, made a big issue of it, and the fact that it is overcomable, it can be overcome with enough effort and with enough grace on both sides to do it, is really cool, and I wish that... It's nice that the game like this was able to introduce such a hot-button, like, socio-political issue without making it heavy-handed, so to speak. Like, that wasn't the point of the whole game. The point of the whole game was you're fighting off some evil jackwagon who took over a country, but they're mixing in these realistic elements, I guess, to make it more relatable, but they didn't do it to a heavy-handed point where you're just, like, beaten over the head with it. Like, oh my god, can we quit talking about it? Yeah, we get it. Laguz and Bjork, we're all racists, cool. It isn't like that, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate that they gave it the respect and the attention that it was due without being too much. And obviously all the characters that have these prejudices going in, well, not all of them, but a very great majority of them with these prejudices going in learn that maybe they were wrong, maybe not, maybe they don't develop to the point where they're willing to overthink or rethink it or overcome it, but they're definitely more open to the idea that maybe they were wrong about some things. Tabarn being a very exceptional case, because prior to this, he just, like, vehemently hates Bjork. He's like, no, they're all scum. And now he's like, wait, maybe it turns out not all Bjork are dickbags, and some of them are actually kind of nice. And honorable and cool. Tabarn is so freaking awesome. Have I mentioned how much I love Tabarn? He's so dope. You know, it's fun too, because Nasala comes off as, like, this completely unlikable jerk that is whatever, but deep down he's actually a lot more like a soft-hearted dude than you would imagine. That is very much explored upon more in the sequel. I won't ruin it for you, we'll talk about it when we get there, but Nasala is a very well-written character. Even if he may seem like he's one-dimensional, he's just a scoundrel, all he cares about is money and yada yada, and his political ambition. And you would seem like there wouldn't be any redeemable qualities for him, but it's actually very much not the case. Janif and Ulki are cool too. It's a shame we didn't get to use them. I know I continue to lament the fact that as awesome as the Laguz are in this game and the sequel, it stinks because they don't make them usable. Like, and it's not true. I mean, you can use them certainly, but as far as them being viable all the time, like all your Bjork guys are, because they don't need to worry about transforming, they have weapons they can use and they can re-equip them, and they grow a lot faster. It takes forever to rank up and level up a Laguz unit, and they don't really get noticeably better over time. even if you put effort into them. I guess Leith and Mordecai might be an exception to that, but it stinks because I wish they were more usable, and it's especially bad at Radiant Dawn, actually. We'll talk about that when we get there, but Lagoos are actually even less usable in Radiant Dawn, not more, and that really stinks. I think we get a cutscene here in a minute, so I'm going to turn up the volume for that, so you guys can actually hear it. That was why Ina joined Dayan in the first place, was to get close to and save her betrothed. And that's why Nasir was a double agent, because he was trying to help her help him. It's crazy how all that kind of fits together like that. Yeah, so Nasir is Ina's grandpa, but they never explain what happened to her parents. They just say that they died. I'm like, well, how? Like, they were freaking dragons. What could have possibly happened to them? Who knows? It's possible they got twisted and malformed like the prince did, but... Apparently, Nasir has not been back to Goldoa in a very long time. Nasir's more just so off-put by how, like, unchanging Ike is in this whole situation. Yeah, he said that war would change how you look at it, and it hasn't. And he's like, that's amazing, because that doesn't happen to anybody. I know Ike is written as kind of like a MacGuffin, like he's the naive, relatable young guy who overcomes every character flaw that could possibly ever happen. But it's not like it's unrealistic. Because of how he was raised, it's perfectly viable that he had the upbringing that he did, and he grew to believe what he ends up believing through the course of this game. I personally find Ike to be a very well-written character. Maybe that's not a commonly held opinion, but that's just how I feel. The war is over. Oh, look at little Lagoos kid. That's adorable. I don't think I ever saw that before. Crimean people who suffered gravely during the harsh Dayan occupation have at last regained their freedom. These same Crimeans have a saying: no matter how harsh the winter, spring will ever follow. This popular proverb proves true as the warm winds of change begin to blow across the countryside. I don't know why this text is so slow. The war has left the country in ruins, but the people rise from the ashes and take the first steps toward rebuilding their nation. Though once scorned and despised as subhumans, the Lagoos put aside past enmity and come to the aid of their neighbors. This part's really cool. I think that's Braum up there in that middle part there. Certainly looks like him, doesn't it? And the Crimeans never forget it was Gallia that fought beside them and helped free them from the yoke of Dayan oppression. Led by the examples of Elincia and her retainers, Crimea begins transforming into the land its king had dreamed of. A land where Bjork and Lagoos live together in harmony and equality. As the reconstruction efforts progress, the administrative government announces the enthronement of Elincia as the new queen. Didn't they just say coronation? Now the day of her crowning arrives. Again, then they could have said coronation. It must be a mistranslation. Alright, this is a cutscene, so I'm going to crank this up a little bit. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not yet. We're almost there. Oh, that's right. We had to do this little talk first. Again, I don't know why the text is so slow. You can't speed it up. A little annoying. So busy running a nation and getting crowned and all that jazz. Yeah, I feel sorry for her too. She forgot all about the Galder, huh? Pretty sure the herons know how to sing that. Never did find out who Altina is. The Altina you speak of? Of the three who defeated the Dark God? It's Sephirin! I think Sephirin's really cool. You know who Altina is? Yeah, of course I do. He founded Begnion. There is one yet who shares both bloodline and name. Oh, Sanaki. Turns out she's the descendant of Altina. That makes sense, because she's the apostle. Why would that not be common knowledge? Like, it's a monarchy, isn't it? Like, she's the empress because her mother was, or because her grandmother was. Why wouldn't they think that they were descended from the first one? Seems weird. I also don't know why there's no music during this part. It's kind of, like, weird. I don't know. Then Ike just kind of goes into his whole spiel here. I like how they overlook this. Oh, here's the music. So you don't know this now, but this is actually very important, what he's telling him right now. Not the story, but the fact that Ike is telling it to Sephirin is important. And I'm not going to ruin it, but it's a big deal. Speaking from hindsight, well, hindsight's 2020, so why wouldn't he? You've accomplished all these miraculous things. Like, he's so modest, too. Ever the humble one. Yeah, that's literally what he says. How are you going to convey a song to the apostle? Wouldn't she already... Like, I don't understand how that all works. You wish it, no post will be beyond your reach. But Ike doesn't care. He doesn't want any titles or responsibilities or any of that garbage. It's more trouble than it's worth. You know, he's not wrong. I don't see the value of being some fancy lord. He's gonna give up his lordship and everything and going back to being a mercenary. And for some reason, Sephirin goes into a laughing fit here. Is something strange? Unbelievable. I don't really know what that line's all about. Oh, look, it's Titania. Well, they want you there with the queen. Oh, okay, well. He's like, why do I have to do it? He's like, why in the world do I have to do all this crap? They wish to see their hero and sing his praises. Thus do heroes give birth to new chapters in history. Ike, I doubt if you've even noticed. Your story, the everyday mercenary who becomes a hero, will awaken ugly appetite and ambition in many. It will be the cause of strife and discord throughout the land. I'm certain Ashnard saw the truth in this. In a way, Ashnard's dream may have been fulfilled. Seeds of war have indeed been sown across the continent. Now, this is how they're definitely setting up a sequel, because you're like, wait a minute, the war's over. It appears your trials are just beginning, my gallant young hero. May the goddess ride with you. So, as in typical fashion, Sephirin is far more... Oh, hang on, let's turn this up. Sephirin is far more observant than he appears.
What's wrong? Everyone's waiting to see you.
I'm nervous. I've spent my whole life in hiding. It's just no one ever taught me how to rule a kingdom. I don't think I'm ready to be their queen. I don't think I'm ever really going to be ready.
What's the matter with you?
Ike, stop it. How can
Did anyone teach you how to hire mercenaries?
No, but that's not the same.
How to win back lost allies? How to win back your lost kingdom?
That's different.
No, it's not. You've done such an amazing job, and I think you always will.
I see.
All right. Come on. We'll do this. Together.
Thank you, my Lord Ike. I am so blessed to have met you.
I ship these two so hard if it's not already obvious.
And so it was that in the spring of the year 646, Alincia Rydell Crimea saw peace return to her homeland. In the years to follow, the story of Queen Alincia and her noble hero Ike spread across the land and inspired the songs of many a wandering troubadour.
Wandering troubadours. Anyway, sorry about that. I just couldn't not mention that. Here we have the credits. So, I have had the time to do a little bit of reflection with regards to the story in this game, and just all the... Oh, I forgot Satoru Iwata worked on this. Rip in peace. Satoru Iwata actually was apparently one of the founding members of Intelligent Systems, who makes all the Fire Emblem games. So anyway, so I've had some time to reflect on the story of this game and the mechanics and whatnot, and I honestly... It's a toss-up between, I think, if this one is my favorite or if Radiant Dawn is. For the longest time, I would have said Radiant Dawn was. Just because the mechanics in that game are so fantastic. The story is also fantastic. But in a way, Path of Radiance is all that same stuff, but less bloated, I guess is the right term. It's simpler, but still everything that I expect and want from a Fire Emblem game. And it's kind of like bridges the gap between the modern age of Fire Emblem and the GBA era, which a lot of people regard as some of the best because, well, for many people it was their first experience with it, because the first American Fire Emblem we got was on the Game Boy Advance. And I still very much have a soft spot for those entries. There's actually the prequel, or actually, the first American one is a prequel to the sixth one in Japan, Binding Blade, which we never got here in the States, but I have played, thanks to a translation ROM that someone made. And it's weird, because that one's in the same vein as Blazing Blade and Sacred Stones, because it's the same engine and the same mechanics, but it just feels so different for some reason. Still in the same ballpark, but what I love most about this one is that it bridges that gap between the old school and the new school, and it has everything that both camps would expect there to be. And the inclusion of some really cool, unique elements like the Lagoos, for example, and like the ability... Like, this is the only game where you can transfer data from one to the other, too. You can't do that in any other game. And it included a lot of really cool, unique features that I wish other installments in the series had, either prior or since, but they just haven't done it. They've decided to go in a whole different direction with the series. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Three Houses is nothing like any of the previous ones, really, in a lot of ways. It's very... There's enough there for it to be recognizable as a Fire Emblem game, but it is very, very different from any other installment. And I feel like that's the direction that the developer is starting to go, is taking risks and doing new things. Oh, Sachiko Wada, the character artist for this game, absolutely freaking amazing. And she still does, to my knowledge, character art for Heroes. Absolutely incredible. Sorry, I wanted to put that in. Anyway, it's not that I don't like the direction they're going, but you can tell that they're going a different direction and trying new things and wanting to change the face of the series, whether for good or for ill. I like a lot of the things Three Houses did. Don't get me wrong. Three Houses is a fantastic game, but you can tell it's different from all the old school stuff. I'm not gonna say old school. This game's only what, 15 years old, 16 years old, but you can tell that they're going in a completely different direction. And for people who are... Oh, I'm sorry. Senri Kita did the character art for this game. Sachiko Wada did Sacred Stones, but still did a lot of character art for this game, too. So Senri Kita is probably my favorite Fire Emblem character artist, Sachiko Wada being a very close second. I believe they're both women. I'm not sure. I know Senri Kita definitely is. Maybe I'm wrong about... I don't know. I'll look it up some other time. I should know this stuff, but feel bad for not knowing. But at the same time, I don't know. I guess they're trying to appeal to different audiences with this game now, with this series, because people who try to go back and play the older ones are apparently just get really frustrated because they're like, well, this is not at all what I was expecting, and it's not, you know, it's not what they want out of the game. And they're like, well, this isn't Fire Emblem. It's like, well, it is, because it's been this way forever. It's just that you came in post-Awakening when the series had a reimagining, and it's not that way anymore. Awakening was a very much a turning point for the series because it was supposed to be the last one, and they just dumped everything they could into it, and they stylized it to the point where it would appeal to the broadest group possible. And I don't know, it's one of those things that oh, well, here you go, get to hear the song, sort of. I don't know what language that is that they're singing the Galder in. I wanted to... Initially, I thought it was just Japanese, but I don't think it is. I will say, this game also has some of the best music in the series. There's no question. I do like a lot of the music in Three Houses, though, too. If I had to pick a soundtrack from a specific game to listen to over any other one, it would be this one, or Three Houses, or it would be one, not Awakening. Radiant Dawns is also fantastic, by the way. We'll get, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I really do want to play through Radiant Dawn, but the problem I have with doing that here is that game is really long, and it's also incredibly difficult. Particularly because, and I didn't know this when I first started playing it, the normal mode for Radiant Dawn is actually hard mode. It's weird. You know how there's a lot of examples of classic games, like Mega Man 2 is a good example of this. If you play the Japanese version of Mega Man 2, there is only one difficulty. And it's hard. It's a hard game. But then when they localized it for America, they put two difficulties in it. There's normal mode and hard mode. Well, the hard mode in the American version is actually the normal difficulty in Japan. They made it easier for American audiences, and a lot of the theory is that, oh, well, they didn't think Americans would be any good at this game, so they made it a little easier. And it's funny because the mentality with Radiant Dawn is that it's the opposite, right? Maybe it was just it might have just been mistranslation, but in Japan, the difficulties for Radiant Dawn are normal, hard, and maniac, which is what they were supposed to be in Path of Radiance as well. But there is no maniac mode in American Path of Radiance because they were like, no, that's too hard. But in Radiant Dawn, you've got normal, hard, and maniac, and when they translated them, they left them in as they were, but they named them easy, normal, and hard. So when you play normal difficulty on an American copy of Radiant Dawn, it's actually hard mode in Japan. And the strange thing, too, is that's how I've played it I've played Radiant Dawn probably a dozen times at this point, and I've played it on that difficulty every time, so I'm used to that level of difficulty. I've never done it easy mode, because I feel like that would almost be too easy. And I've never done hard/maniac mode in Radiant Dawn, because I'm like, you know what, it's already hard enough. I'm kind of worried that I might not be able to beat it. Although, earlier this year, I did finish Three Houses on maddening mode, no New Game Plus, and I felt really good about that because I thought I didn't think there's any way I was going to be able to do it. That game is really hard, but there's actually a lot of varying levels of difficulty in this series. Lunatic Plus in Awakening apparently is the hardest Fire Emblem game you can possibly play, to the point where it's borderline impossible. And Hard 5, as it's referred to in Shadow Dragon, is also incredibly difficult. I think there's Lunatic Plus mode also in Fates. I'm not sure if it's as bad, but Conquest is by far the hardest of Fates. Anyway, so here's Finn. We are done with the game story, done with the credits, and now we get to see the character records. And chapter records, as in how long did it take us to beat each level, and how many kills did each of our characters get. And this will be the end of the game right here. So I feel like I did pretty well as far as turn counts or time counts on a lot of these chapters. This is, I think, you know, I don't want to say that I play quickly, because I don't. But I don't think I take forever either. I feel like I play this game at a pace that the developers intended you to do it. Okay, except chapter 10 there. That was different because I did a guide where I got bonus experience for that one. I sometimes feel guilty about doing that, but you know what? You get so much battle experience for that. Feral Frontier done in 4 turns is also funny, considering you did that without the way to do that properly is not kill anybody except the boss. Daybreaks is in 4 parts, so 30 turns makes sense for that. Yeah, honestly, yeah, it didn't really take all that long. You can finish solo. You can finish solo chapter 22 in 1 turn, by the way. I've seen it done. I've done it myself. It's actually hilarious. But then you miss out on all the like treasure and whatnot. And we could have had repatriation done like 10 turns quicker, were it not for having to let that halberdier bash his face against Ike for a minute. But yeah, that's honestly not that long of a Fire Emblem game. You can finish this one in like, it sounds horrible, you can finish it in like 40 hours. Probably a lot quicker if you play quicker than me. So the way this goes is we start with characters who had the fewest wins or the fewest kills. And then from there, in the order they were recruited, I believe. So obviously Riss never had any kills because he was just a healer. We never promoted him. Promoted Riss, by the way, isn't really worth it, unfortunately. Light magic in this game is terrible. I haven't used Braum in a long time. Braum's actually solid as an armor knight. I might go through and use him one of these times. Makalov's actually really good, too. Tormod is okay, but he's one of the worst characters to transfer, and I'll explain that later. Devdin is hilarious. I like using him. I wish the Lagoos were more usable, especially Janeth and Ulki, because they're amazing. Kal-El's apparently a lot better than I give her credit for, but I never end up using her. Same with Lucia. Bastion, same thing. Just seems like they'd be good, but they just aren't really all that fantastic. Probably because they're sages that don't use staves, they use knives, which is stupid. That's the one thing with this game I never thought was any... Like, why would you want a mage that also uses knives? Like, the weakest physical weapon type with the lowest physical strength stat. Why would you want them to have that? To kill other mages, maybe, I guess? But, like, whatever. Their magic's usually plenty high enough. Shinon. Using Shinon is actually really fun, because these growths are stupid high. I haven't used him in a while. It's a lot better than Rolf, which is sad. I wish Rolf was a good unit. He's just not. R is actually really solid as a unit. Titania, if you use Titania, she's amazing. Like, she actually grows along with the rest of your party just fine. Mia's really solid as a unit. Gatry's, as we saw, really solid. Kirin is amazing. It's just a matter of, you can't use everybody in these games. You just can't. Whoa, Nephani's not in the top 5? I almost always have her in the top 5 when I play this game, and she didn't. She made it number 6, I guess. That's crazy. I bet you number 1 is Boyd. Soren's 5th, okay. 82 kills. Oscar's 4th, 85. Jill, 96. She's 3rd. She's almost usually 1 or 2 whenever I play this. Nope, Boyd's number 2. I guess Ike's number 1 then. 107 kills for Ike. Good job, buddy. Boyd or Jill is almost always my highest kill units in this game because of how long you have them and how much effort I put into them. But not surprising to see Ike at the top of this list either. He's also fantastic. There we have it, folks. That is it. That is the epilogue and the end of the game. All set and done with. So what I'm going to go ahead and do real quick is I'm going to show you what a second playthrough of this game looks like. Actually, I have to hit new game, not restart chapter. I'm just going to do the same thing I normally do for the absolutely no reason. I actually need to finish the prologue before I can show you. So we're going to do that as fast as we possibly can. Yeah, I know. No, do not use tutorials, please. So, you've seen me play this, but we're just going to plow through this real quick because I can't show you when I want to show you until after this chapter's done. But it's largely inconsequential. Yeah, okay, I get to beat up on Boyd a little bit. That's cool. Let's hit Boyd in the face. It's funny rewinding all the way back to the beginning of this game after having just beat it. So then, does he hit back? No, he doesn't. Grail does, Boyd does not. So then we just beat the crap out of Boyd. With a wooden stick. You wouldn't think that wooden trainer sword would hurt all that much. Let me assure you, it absolutely hurts. And I also just realized that because this is a new game, it reset all the music and sound effect settings, so I'm sure that this music sounds way louder to you guys than it does to me right now. So let me turn that down a little bit real quick. I'm sorry about that. That's where I had it before, by the way, because it was, for some reason, the audio settings of this emulator stink. So I probably should not have... Oh, crap, he's gonna kill me, isn't he? Yeah, I was supposed to heal first. Whoops. So, hey, watch me fail the prologue, everybody. I forgot to use my vulnerary. Oops. If this training's too much for you, you're not ready to take the field. That's the first time I've seen Ike, like, lose like that. That's hilarious. And it's just game over. Well, there you go, guys. You watched me fail the prologue. Sorry about that. Now I feel like a silly person. And you gotta start all over again. Good lord. Oh, I can restart chapter, I guess, from there. That's fine. That'll work. Unbelievable. That's hilarious. I've never seen that before. And now I gotta do this whole nonsense over again. Alright, so now you know what not to do when you play through this game. Is don't screw up and forget to heal yourself, and then get your butt kicked by your dad. Because that's... I almost forgot that was gonna happen. I'm like, wait, he's gonna go and attack me, isn't he? It's weird because Boyd does not attack you on his turn. But Grail does. You stop talking? I'm trying to get through this part. Yeah, I get it. You're hitting me in the face with a stick, with a blunt axe, whatever it is. Who knows? Not the point. Let's finish this sucker off. Okay, so let's make sure we do things the right way this time and not get ourselves killed. Or not killed per se, but beaten severely by our own father. Alright, so what you're supposed to do... I've done this a million times and I still can't believe I didn't. You walk up here and then you chug that potion. And now Grail actually cannot kill us without dying himself. Well, not dying. He can't reduce us to 0 hit points without first doing it himself. It's funny, because I think I showed off Grail's stats when we first did this, but he has a skill called Discipline, where it, like, severely reduces all of his stats because he's holding himself back. So you never get an accurate representation of what Grail's stats actually look like, because these are obviously not it. But I've always wanted to know what his stats actually look like, because he's able to go toe-to-toe with, like, General Patrine and whatnot. So he's obviously stupid strong and stupid powerful, but you never get to see, and it's just kind of sad. I wish they'd let you see his stats just once. Just, like, see him in action fighting people and kicking the crap out of them. But that's okay. Guess we have to speculate. I think someone actually data mined his actual combat stats, because they're actually in the game somewhere. It's the same with Hector's brother Uther in Blazing Blade. Apparently he also actually has character stats, but you never get to see them, but someone data mined the game and found them. And apparently he's also very impressive. Alright, so that's done. Now we can move on and show you the part that I wanted to show you, actually. We'll just skip all this story nonsense, because you've already seen it. No one cares. Alright, here we go. Alright, yeah, Titania, I get it. So, as far as the menu or anything is concerned, I don't think anything is different. Actually, this is. So now, once you beat the game once, you have the option to turn this on. You can actually have the game show you how much bonus experience you get after finishing a chapter. And it'll break it down, like itemize it based on what criteria you met to gain extra. So, for example, in that prison release mission, when you go through and avoid being detected, it'll show you this screen at the end of the chapter that'll say, hey, you went undetected, here's how much bonus XP you got for doing that. And it'll do that for every chapter. It's really neat. It's not like it's necessary. You still get the bonus XP, but this actually shows you, hey, good job, you did these things, here's what you get. And I like turning that on for that very reason. It's really nice. Very gratifying in that regard. Especially when you do a chapter like that, when you get a lot of bonus experience for doing something different. So here's the really big difference. Some characters are now going to join with these. You'll notice that Oscar has a ring. It is a Paladin Band. An armlet, when equipped, alters the direction of a level upgrade. It contains the essence of a paladin. What does this mean? The Paladin Band, when equipped, increases growth rates by very small percentages. So the Paladin Band in particular increases your HP and your speed growth rate by 5% each. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot. It's only 5%. 5% over the course of 20 levels averages out to, like, a stat point. Right? Like, it's not like it's a big difference. However, when statistically speaking, if you know anything about statistics, that extra 5% going from like 35 to 40% over every subsequent level can actually make a very big difference. And in the entirety of the game, you will find 11 of these on a subsequent playthrough. This is not in a first run, this is only in secondary onward. Doesn't matter if you re-roll load the same file or start a new one. If you've beaten the game once, you will get these bands now. So Oscar has a Paladin Band starting out, and Boyd has a Fighter Band, which increases HP and Strength growths by 5% each. Ike does not have one. I don't believe Titania has one either. But you will get these bands either on characters that join you. They'll have them pre-equipped, or they can be from enemy drops on very rare occasions. There are 11 of them. And there's one for nearly every class. So there's a Paladin Band, there's a Soldier Band, there's an Armor Knight Band, there's a Wyvern Band, there's a Pegasus Band, there's a Mage Band, so on and so forth. And depending on what band it is, the growth rates that you will increase from equipping them will be different. And having them around and allowing your units to use them and slightly alter or beef up their growth rates in certain areas where you might want them to makes a very big difference over the course of a run. For example, I like to give Ike that Fighter Band early on because early game he has issues with dealing damage with his low strength. His strength growth is fine, but his starting strength is really low, and he needs a little extra kick to get going quicker. But I like to give him that Fighter Band early on because it'll buff his HP too. His HP's sub 20 right now, which is not great. And I like to give Boyd... You'll get an Archer Band eventually, which gives additional skill and speed, which Boyd really enjoys. I also like giving him a band that increases his defense growth, because Boyd has a lot of problem with defense. His HP's never an issue, his strength's never an issue. It's his skill and his defense that really need the most help. Sadly, there is not every combination of stat comparisons amongst all those 8 or those 11 bands. The Wyvern and the Armor Knight Band are the same. They both increase strength and defense by 5%. And the Pegasus and Priest Band are the same. They both increase luck and resistance growth by 5%. And the only one that increases magic is the Mage Band. And that one's unique because it is the only one that increases a single stat rather than 2, and it's by 10%. And honestly, everybody who relies on magic to deal damage in this game already has really good magic growth. The only one you could argue that has questionable magic growth is Ilyana, and hers is 50%. So really, no one needs the Mage Band, which is kind of sad, because I wish you could increase magic in something else. But that's just how it is. So yeah, those bands, they don't look like a lot at the outset of a playthrough, but let me tell you, they can make a huge difference, and I like having them around. And if you're going to do a transfer run, I almost universally recommend that you do it on a subsequent playthrough of this game, because you'll have access to these. And this will give you a much increased, again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it'll give you a greater chance of capping stats and getting better transfers for your run, and getting better transfer bonuses in your Radiant Dawn playthrough. So that was it. That's what I wanted to show you guys. Other than the bonus XP display and the bands, there's not really a lot different in a subsequent playthrough of this game. Everybody's stats are the same. Everybody's equipment's the same for the most part. I don't think there's any other serious changes. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me, but I believe it's just those bands and that bonus XP display. So that was it. That's what I wanted to show you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to call this a wrap. That is the end of Path of Radiance. I really hope you all enjoyed as much as I did. And like I said, maybe we'll go back into Radiant Dawn with our transfers. We'll see. I'll keep you posted. Look out for that if possible. I'll try to be a little more active on the channel with regards to maybe not necessarily releasing regular series, but I'll try to do streams more often. I know, like I said, Tenzuka wants to do that. So if it's not just me, I'll try to rope him into that too. But look for more content on this channel coming forward, and I won't leave you in the dark as much as I have this past time. So again, I apologize for that. So stay tuned. We'll be back. We'll do some more stuff. It'll be fun. Until that time, thank you very much for watching and finishing the series with me. Hope to see you again in the future. And until that time, this has been Seraphin. Stay classy, internets.